All right, hello all. On the table of contents, you want to put what today's notes are. They are in two parts, so it's two separate pages. The first one is on translating word problems, and the second one is on variables on both sides. Okay, I am on page 38. You can see by the spiral that it is the left-hand side of the two pages, and it is translating, sorry, I know that's like fancy cursive, but translating word problems, and this is for January 7th and 8th, 2021. The learning target is I can convert a scenario into an algebraic equation. Okay, so what we're going to do is they'll be given words, right, and a sentence and or a scenario, and you need to convert that into an equation and then solve the equation. Okay, so again, this is not just about giving me an answer, it's actually about first, can you decipher what it means as far as an equation goes? So, in addition to all the words you've learned before about like the words that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, okay, which you know from middle school, okay, I have a few other words for you to know. So, in a scenario, these words mean to put an equal sign. So, for example, is or was, okay, means put an equal sign. Like if they say something is this, that means equals. Obviously, equals or equals to or the same as. Okay, all of those mean to use an equal sign. Then we have a variable. So you may not have done this before, but you need to put in a variable for your unknown. So they might literally just say a number, in which case you don't know that number, use a variable. They might say an unknown. And then also, if it mentions a value, and then they don't tell you what it is, or they ask you to find it. For example, if they say, like, the width is something, 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 but they never actually tell you what the width of the thing is, that implies it's unknown. Or, if at the end they say, please find the width, then they asked you to find it, so it must be unknown, and you should use a variable. Okay? And then lastly, this one's probably the newest. Than, in this specific context, means to switch or flip the orders of the terms around the operation. Now that sounds really confusing, but once I show you, you'll be like, oh, that makes sense. So this is really important. It means to switch or flip the order of the terms around the operation. So most likely for now, it's just going to be used as more than or less than. And that than means to flip or switch. Okay? So then what I have is just some examples for us to go through. So what I like to think of this is literally like translating from another language. So this says 17 less than a number is 21. Okay? And when you try and think of it in your head, it starts to get jumbled. But if we actually diagram this sentence, we have 17, right? Less means minus. Right? That's one of those words from middle school. Here is one of our new words. Okay, I put a star next to it because that one has a star, which means essentially flip the order, right? Then we have a number. That is our variable term. So you can use any variable you want. I'm going to use x, and then is means equals 21. So I haven't written the official equation yet, but I've essentially diagrammed it out. So instead of writing 17 minus x, this flip means to take these two terms and flip them. So instead of, here I'll use a different color, 17 minus x, we're going to flip their order. So it's actually going to be x minus 17 equals, because I mean the equal sign, 21. Okay? Now, the reason for that is when you say that something is more than or less than, it means to take that original amount and then increase it or decrease. So that should come second. But if that confuses you, then you want to use this. Because remember, x minus 17 and 17 minus x, not the same thing. Then from here, all you have to do is solve. So we have x minus 17. So we're going to do the opposite, or undoing, which is to add 17 to both sides. So here, those go away, and you just have x equals, and then 21 plus 17 becomes 38. Now, let's put a box around it. Remember, that's not the only thing I care about. This part up here is just as important to me, and as always, I'm just going to check to make sure my answer is correct. If I put in 38 for x minus 17, I get 21. So we're good to go. Okay, now the next one. 1/3 of a number is increased by 3, or a number increased by 3 is 10. Oh my gosh, Azor, you can do this. So 1/3, I didn't write it as a number, but it means 1/3 of, hopefully you remember from middle school, means multiply. Notice I didn't put an x because I don't want to confuse it with a variable. And then here we have a number. Remember, I can do any variable I want. So I'm going to do y. Increased is plus 3. And then is, remember, is equals to negative 10. Now notice there's nothing that tells me I need to flip the order of anything, so I can just put it in this exact same order. So that gives me 1/3 y, because I'm multiplying them and you don't actually put a symbol between them, plus 3 equals negative 10. Okay, the only thing I did wrong here is I did not leave myself enough room. So that is the first thing I want. Okay, that's almost more important to me than just getting the answer right, because I don't care about just getting the answer. I care about this and then you showing me work to get the answer. So again, get rid of the thing that doesn't have the variable first. So minus 3, and that gives me, that's gone. That's just 1/3 x. Oops, sorry, y equals, and then negative 10 minus 3 is negative 13. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. 1/3 y equals negative 13. Line down the equal sign, right? Okay, so then I have to get rid of the 1/3. Remember, you have two ways of solving this. You can divide by the 1/3 or multiply by its reciprocal. I prefer multiplying just because it's a little bit easier for me. So the reciprocal is 3 over 1 because you flip it. See how the 3 and the 3 undo each other and the 1 and the 1 undo each other? Now I just have y equals. And then here, oh no, this isn't a fraction. But guess what? I can make it a fraction over 1. So negative 13 times 3 is negative 39 over 1, which is just negative 39. Sorry, I kind of cut off this divided by 1 here. So, to make sure that it is correct, again, you'll want to check using your calculator. And again, this is why we practice putting in fractions. So, I'm going to put in negative 39 for y. So, I have 1/3. To enter that, I'm going to do alpha, y equals, enter. See how it's a fraction? So, now I have 1 over 3. Parentheses, negative, use this button way down at the bottom, 39 plus 3. And if all is said and good, you should get negative 10. Boom. There we go. Looks great. Okay, so now what we're doing is getting into like an actual scenario. So the other ones I just call like generic sentences. It's just a description of an equation. But here we have an actual scenario. So it's a little bit more difficult. It says here that the price of a TV is on sale for $360. This is 2/3 of the regular price. Find the regular price. So since they're asking me to find the regular price, that tells me my variable must be the regular price. So notice over here, regular price. That's my variable. I'm going to use the variable capital P for price. Okay, so now here, I saw the word is right up here, which is equals, but it says this equals. what we need to do is go back to the sentence and determine what did it mean by this? Well, it says that the TV is on sale for $360. This is. So what it means is this $360. That is what this is. So 360 is equal to 2/3 of, remember that's times, the regular price, which is the variable. I know that's the variable because they don't tell me the regular price, they tell me the sale price, and they ask me to find the regular price. So, this is kind of split on two lines, but we have that 360 is, which means equals, 2/3 of the regular price. So again, I'm not actually going to write times, I'm just going to put P because that means times. Okay. So now notice my fractions over here. That's okay. I can still multiply by the reciprocal and put it over here. 3/2. 3/2. Okay. So here, the 3 and this 3 cancel each other, and the 2 and this 2 cancel each other. So I'm just left with P equals, and then I know I can turn this into a fraction, but I might as well just use my calculator. So I'm going to do 3/2 times 360. So alpha y equals enter. So there's my fraction. I'll do 3/2 parentheses 360. And I got 540. Okay, now here's the dealio. Because this one actually is in a scenario, we need to give it an actual answer. We need to give them the answer to their question. It said find the regular price, and we want to tell them that the regular price of the TV is, and then give it a unit, it's in money, $540. So I like to say that a word answer deserves, a word question or problem deserves a word answer. Now, just to make sure that this all makes sense, this is more expensive than the sale price. Does that make sense to us? Yes, because if it's on sale, it's for cheaper. And again, if I put it into the original problem and do 2/3 times P, so alpha y equals enter, 2/3 times 540, which is our P, I should get 360. Good. So 360 is indeed 2/3 of the original price. Okay? Last one. Okay, so this one's kind of a weird one, but bear with me. The heaviest human of all time weighed 486 kilograms. Okay, not pounds. This is 12 kilograms less than 6 times, Azor, come on. And I don't even know where my purple pen is, so I'm going to use my blue. Times Juan's weight. How much does Juan weigh? Okay, so again, that is going to tell me what my variable must be, because they say how much does Juan weigh? So his weight must be the variable. So here, when it says Juan's weight, that is going to be our variable. Let's call it W for his weight. There we go. That looks more like a W. Okay, so now I'm going to actually go back and diagram the sentence. Notice for these last two, I've read it once through first, and then I started diagramming second, so I knew what in the world was happening. So again, our second sentence starts with this is, where the is the equals, but they're like implying something. This refers to the previous sentence. The heaviest human of all time weighed 486 kilograms. This is, meaning this 486 kilograms goes in for this. So this must be 486. Okay, this is 12 kilograms, so 12 less, remember, is minus, than, I'm going to put a little star next to it, means flip, 6 times, obviously means times W. Okay, so now remember, this flip means that we need to take the two terms, because now this is a term, because it's 6W and 12, and flip those. That's what the flip means. It means the minus stays where it is, but these get flipped because it's 12 less than this, so we need to subtract the 12 from that. Again, that's why I tell you that this means than. It's much simpler just to remember that. So, 486, that's the heaviest weight of all time, is equal to, don't do 12, flip it, 6W minus 12. Okay? And then we solve. Okay? Because Juan's weight is 6 times and then 12 less than that. And then it will equal this. So we get rid of the minus 12 first. Plus 12 plus 12. So that's gone. Now we just have 6W equals, and then 498. Then, next step, we divide by this, because 6 and W means multiply. To undo that, we divide. Okay, so the 6 and 6 divide to be 1. Those are gone. They undo each other. So W equals, and then we know that this goes in 8, carry the 1, 3. Okay, I did that in my head, but of course, you are more than welcome just to do 498 divided by 6. Enter, 83. Okay, no big deal. Use your calculator. Write it on your paper so I know what steps you're doing, but then check it on your calculator. Doesn't matter. Okay, so that is my answer. But this was a question, and I need to answer that question. How much does Juan weigh? So I know that Juan weighs, and we don't just say 83, we need to put back the units, which was all in kilograms. Kilograms here, kilograms here. If you don't know that's kilograms, then just write the kg. No big deal. And there you go. Now, probably before I wrote my answer, I should have double checked that this is correct. If I put in 83 for W, do I get the right thing? So, we do 6 times 83 minus 12. So that would be 6 times Juan's weight, and then 12 less than that. So that's why that comes second. Enter is 486. Great. And there you go. So it really is like translating. I'm literally doing kind of word for word what it says, even when it tells me to flip the order. I did that. Okay, just make sure that if it's a term, because these come together to be 6W, you take those together. Don't just flip the 6 and the 12. Okay, that's probably the biggest mistake people will make. Okay, now we have the second part of the notes, which is variables on both sides. Again, same date. The learning target is that I can find the solution to an equation with variables, that's VAR period, it's an abbreviation, on both sides. Well, what in the world does that mean? It means that you have variables on both sides of the equation, both sides of the equal sign. So, how do we fix that? Move all variables to one side of the equal sign. Okay? You have them on both different sides, but you're trying to get it to be variable equals. You got to move them all to one side. Okay? So, after you do that, you might have a 1 or 2 step equation left, and then you should know how to do that based on last time. Okay, so there's 2 scenarios here. Scenario 1, if one variable term is already alone, meaning it's the only thing on that side of the equation, move everything over there. It's already alone, that'll make it easy. So, first I asked, why? Why should you do that? And you'll see here I have the same equation twice, and I'm going to show you why I bother. So, here's how it works. Notice how, put my line down, my equal sign, this guy is alone. Okay, and that's the same for both of these because those are the exact same equation. Okay, so now let's say you don't care and you just move everything to the left because you like moving things to the left. So here I'm going to ignore my rule because mine says if it's alone, move it to that side. I'm going to move it away. Minus 2g, minus 2g. So then what happens here? People get confused because it was alone and now nothing's there. Well, there is a number that represents nothing. That number is 0 equals. Okay, so I have to put that 0 here. Then I have 2g's minus 4g's, that's 2, right? 4 minus 2 is 2. G minus 14. Okay, so not the end of the world, but what if you forgot to put that equal sign? Or sorry, that 0, which I'm going to tell you right now, happens all the time. And now I still have to solve. So I need to move this number first, plus 14, plus 14. So I just have 2g equals 0 plus 14 is 14. And then last step is to divide, because it's 2 times g. Divide by 2, g equals 7. Okay, so you're right, not the end of the world, but don't forget 0. Sorry, I accidentally did a cursed G. I try not to when I do stuff for you guys, but there you go. Don't forget 0. That's where people are going to mess up. Now, I'm going to show you what happens if you follow my advice. So, since it's alone, move to this side. So what that means is I'm going to move the 4g over here. So remember, don't look at this sign, look for the sign in front, in which case this is positive 4g. So subtract 4g minus 4g. Okay. I realize that 4G is like a network. That's why it sounded familiar. So that is gone, right? We just have the negative 14 equals. And then again, feel free to use a calculator. 2 minus 4, or in this case 2g minus 4g is negative 2g. Okay. So notice I don't have a 0 anywhere, which is kind of nice. But I still do have a negative 2 with my g. I need to divide both sides by negative 2. This goes away. I just have g equals negative divided by negative is a positive 7. So notice that this one is actually less steps. That is why I prefer this way, because here I had to move the 2g, that's one step, okay? Then I had to add the 14, that's another step. Then I had to divide by 2, that's another step, so that's 3 steps. Over here, so 3 over here. Over here, I moved 4g, so I minused it. That's one step. And then here, I divided by negative 2. That's only 2 steps. So here, people forget the 0 and mess up. And 2, it's longer than that one. Okay? So, if it's alone, just move it to the side where it is alone. Okay? So, let's do 2 more examples on that. So, this is the alone side. So, we're going to move it, all of our h's, over here. Okay? That's what we're going to do. So, this is minus 8h. We're going to do the opposite and add 8h. Because I want to move it. You're like, oh, it's all alone. Well, let's give it some friends. Okay, that's gone. 8h gone. Now I just have 42 equals, and then negative 2h plus 8h. So negative 2 plus 8 is positive 6h. Now, 6 times h, to get h alone, divide both sides by 6. That goes away. H equals 7. Oh my gosh, darn it, I picked the same number. Which reminds me, I did not show you how to check. So now notice when we check, there's h's on both sides because you always want to check the original. So what I'm going to do is start with the left-hand side and plug in 7 for h. So I have 42 minus 8 times 7. Enter. That's negative 14. Okay? I know that you're like, that's not the same. Wait a second. Now do the opposite side. Negative, use the negative way down here. Negative 2, parentheses, 7. Look, same thing. That means they're equal. Okay? Works the same up here. If I did the 7, because this one's G is 7, up here, start with just this side. I like to put the calculator over the other side. 4 times 7 minus 14. Oops, that was 17 minus 14. Positive 14. Over here, 2g, so 2 times 7, positive 14. The left and the right hand are the same, so it is the solution. Okay, so last one of this scenario. Now notice that this side with the negative 5x, this one's alone. Oh, buddy, you're all by yourself. Let's move over some friends. So, I got to move this x, but again, I don't use that minus sign. The minus belongs to the 18. What do? There's two things to remember. Technically, there's a 1 here. Okay, I did this on purpose so you guys remember 1. And that 1 in this case is positive. Positive 1. So now when we do the opposite, we're going to minus 1x. Minus 1x. Put a little line here. That's gone. So notice the negative doesn't disappear. It comes down with the 18. Negative 18 equals, and then negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6x. And then lastly, that's negative 6 times x. We need to divide by negative 6. X equals negative divided by negative is positive. 18 divided by 6 is 3. And if that is indeed the correct answer, when we plug 3 back in, we will get the same sides, the same on both sides. So start with the left-hand side here. Negative 5 times 3, negative 15. There you go, negative 15. Now let's do this side. We don't have to do 1x. You can if you want to, but that is 3 minus 18, negative 15. So again, the two sides are equal. That means it's the solution. Great. So that is what you do when one of them is alone. Okay, well that's not the only scenario. I have scenario 2 here. And it says, if neither variable term is alone, they both have friends, move the lesser of the two. So I didn't say smaller, I said lesser because it could be negative, right? So you'll want to move the lesser of the two. Now, why do I want to move the lesser of the two? Whoopsie daisies. And again, I forgot my purple. I don't know. Oh, there it is. I'm just having all sorts of issues. That should be a minus 8. Okay. So, minus 8. There you go. These should be identical. Sorry, guys. So, what we're going to do is one time we're going to move the non-lesser, and one time we will move the lesser. So, to show you why it's nicer to move the lesser of the two. Lesser of the two. So, here you go. We identify the variable terms. We have negative 5y and 7y. Okay. So, let's say we're going to move the greater of the two. Okay, this one's greater. If we move this, remember it's positive 7y. We do the opposite and do minus 7y minus 7y. Okay, so we have negative 5 minus 7. That's negative 12y. Plus 4, because that's still there, equals, here, that's not there. That's gone. And the only thing that's left is negative 8. Okay? So what did I just do? I moved the greater of the two. Okay? Now I need to solve for y. So I'm going to move the part that doesn't have the y, which is the 4, plus 4, do minus 4. That's gone. I have negative 12y equals negative 12. Okay, because negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. Okay, then the last step, these are being multiplied. Undo it by dividing by exactly that number, negative 12, negative 12. Those divide out. So you have y equals, and then here, remember, anything divided by itself is 1. Okay. So I know you're probably thinking, not all that bad, but let's double check that this is the answer. So 1 goes in for y. So you do negative 5 times 1 plus 4. Okay, so that results in negative 1. Now do it to the other side and see if you get the same thing. So 7 times 1 minus 8. Negative 1. So that is the correct answer. So here we moved the greater. Over here, let's move the lesser. Okay, so this one is minus 5y. So let's do the opposite and add 5y. So notice those go away, and I just have 4 equals, here, 7y plus 5y is 12y minus 8. Okay, so if you have been paying attention, here's the big difference. Okay, here you have a negative term. Wow. Here you have a positive term. Yay. Which means when I go to divide, see here I had to divide by negative 12, you're going to see that I get to divide by a positive 12. So again, trying to solve for y, I got to move the thing without the y first. That's gone. So I just have 12y equals 4 plus 8 is 12. Now divide both sides by 12. Y equals 1. So, do you get the wrong answer if you do it this way? No. Is the math a little bit nicer? Yes, because notice I didn't have to carry around all these negatives. I got to do a positive. Okay, which I like more. It makes me happy. So, up here, if something's alone, you got to move it where it's alone. But neither of these were alone. This one had a plus 4, so it had a friend. This one had minus 8, so it had a friend. Okay, so let's just do 2 more examples. So here we go. Put a line down the equal sign. This one is the lesser, so I'm going to move it. Okay, because 3w is less than 7w. Remember, if it's positive here, it's positive 3. We do the opposite and we subtract it from both. And notice that I write it under the other thing with the variable. I don't just write it randomly. 7w minus 3w is 4w. Bring down the plus 2 equals, that's gone. Bring down the 94. Okay, so notice that that's positive 4w. If I had done it the other way, it would have been negative. No thanks. Okay, then move the thing without the variable, so minus 2, minus 2. So over here, the plus 2 minus 2 go away. We have 4w equals 94 minus 2 is 92. Divide both sides by 4. W equals, this might not actually be a whole number, is it? Yeah, it is. Is it 23? Okay, double check. I'm going to do 2 divided by 4. Yeah, 23. Okay, but I would want to check that anyway by putting it back into the original. So I go back up to the original, and I'll plug in 23. So 7 parentheses 23 plus 2 is 163. Now do the other side. 3w, so 3 times 23 plus 94. 163. So that is the correct answer. Okay. Oof. Now, this last one. Again, I did this on purpose because I want us to talk about what happens here. They're both negative, and you're like, oh no, where is the number for this? Well, remember, if you can't see a number, then the number is 1. Now, here's the tricky part. Which is smaller, -1 or -2? If you did a number line, this one would be further to the left, so actually this one's the lesser. So we're going to move that. So I'm going to put a line down the equal sign. It's minus 2f, so I'm going to add 2f. Add 2f. That goes away. That's gone. I just have 23 equals. Now, treat it like a negative, okay, because it takes the sign in front of it. So -1 plus 2, that becomes positive 1f, okay? And then bring down that 15. So notice that the sign changes. Use that sign with the number, okay? Now, again, this has f, so we need to move the 15 because it doesn't have an f. That's a positive 15, so subtract 15. Oops. That goes away, so now I just have plus 1f equals, and then we have 8. Okay, and then this is 1 times f. You don't actually still have to have the positive. I wrote it, but it's fine. So we want to divide both sides by 1. Well, those divide away, so you have f equals, and then 8 divided by 1 is 8. Okay, so double check. I'm going to put in 8 for f. So for this first left-hand side, I do 15 minus, and you can put the 1 if you want to, it doesn't matter, and then an 8, I get 7. So now let's do this side where I do 23 minus 2 times 8, and I get 7. So that is the correct answer. So again, if you haven't done the notes for solving 1- and 2-step equations, you need to do that because you need to be able to solve this flawlessly. The only new part is now you have variables on both sides and you need to get them to one side. Okay? Notice every single time we did it, we added or subtracted them. Don't multiply or divide them yet. You're adding and subtracting them. Okay? That is it. I will see you guys in class.